I finally recorded the answers to the Q&A question. I've kind of laid it all out there. My journey's been pretty traumatic, but I wanted to be honest about it all. I'm happy with who I am after what I've been through. I'm very strong because of it, and that's why I'm able to do the things I'm able to do. I don't feel like a victim. I feel like a fucking powerhouse now. I worked in marketing for 23 years. I love my career. I worked my way right up to the top. I was a consultant for a short period of time till it became a little bit like Groundhog Day. And that's when I decided to change my life. I wanted to use a different part of my brain. So it wasn't linear, but over a period of time, I stopped doing contract roles and started doing things like labouring on a building site, cleaning caravans. That's when I started to do a little bit of like I'd always done a bit of modelling, but that's when I took it a bit more seriously, and also a little bit of comedy, improv, just whatever used the other side of my brain. Well, because I had a good career, I was able to I downsized my house. So instead of like buying a big house and getting myself mortgaged up to the hilt, I decided just to cash everything in and buy a property outright, and basically was able to afford the cheapest thing on the market, so that I was mortgage free. That was a big decision. I kind of had to leave behind the big fancy house. I had to sell my Porsche to help pay for it. That's where I was before, but it was so meaningless, and I just thought there's got to be more to life. So I basically cashed it all in and went right back down to basics, and that's when I started to feel happy. I think a lot of it stemmed from like during lockdown. Obviously lockdown had a massive impact on a lot of people, but for me, there was a very short period of time where I found myself homeless. The reason being, I had a relationship breakdown, and all my money was tied up in a property. And because obviously you couldn't just go and stay with somebody, and because of the way that I wouldn't follow the silly little rules, people didn't want me to come around to their houses, And I had a sports car at the time, so I wasn't able to sleep in that. I was lucky in that I was able to get my employer at the time to give me a letter so I could stay in a hotel for one night. But beyond that, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And luckily, because I had already started to transition into my non-corporate world, I was still had a foot in both at that point. I knew a lady who ran the holiday caravan sites down in Dawlish Warren, and she let me rent one of the caravans for 5 weeks at £100 a week, so it was perfect. What it did is it made me realise how vulnerable we all are. Therefore, I wanted to make sure that I would always have a roof over my head, and that was what led me to buy a van. I did not at that point have any intention of living in it. It was merely a safety net. Just having experienced that vulnerability, I wanted to make sure that I would always know that I would have something, a metal box that had a roof on its head, that I would be safe inside should the time ever arise. I would go and stay for weekends and things like that, and go surfing in North Devon, which I absolutely loved. And at that point, I was lucky that my tiny little maisonette that I was able to afford had 3 bedrooms. So I already had 2 lodgers living with me. And I decided at that point that I would let out my other room to help bolster my income a little bit more, and actually move into my van. Yeah, when I first moved in, I had nothing in here. I had a self-inflating mattress and this little gas cooker, which I bought off my neighbour for a tenner, and that was it. Everything else just evolved from living in it and like working out what I needed. I used to have a bulkhead in here, which was actually a pain in the ass, because the side door mechanism didn't work at one point, and of course I was trapped in the back, but luckily I had a hole cut in here. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. And I had absolutely no intention of doing YouTube. It was so not my thing, and it was only when somebody approached me and said, "Oh, you should do YouTube," and I was just like, no, I cannot be asked with that. Sorry. And I was like, no, I can't be asked with that. And they said, well, I'll edit it for you and help you. And he really quite put on the pressure, and I just thought, you know what, I'm such a believer that things in front of you for a reason. I thought, I'll give it a go. Anyway, he edited the first one, and was kind of coaching me on how to do it. I mean, I was used to being in front of a camera and doing presentation and talking to people and things like that, so it was in my comfort zone, but he was kind of coaching me on how I should approach it. And it was a little bit too provocative for what I was comfortable with. So with the second one that he did, I actually sat and watched him edit it, which is how I learned how to do it. I just watched someone do it. Well, that's quite easy. Anyway, over time we parted ways because I didn't feel comfortable with the way it was going with him, and that's when I started to do it myself. But the 2 videos that he's done, they're actually hidden from public view. So I do all my filming on my iPhone 12. I bought secondhand. I don't believe in like racking up credit or debt or anything, so I'm happy to have something that's a little bit shit if it means I can buy it outright. So yeah, my iPhone 12, and I edit it on Final Cut Pro. In the last week, I actually approached somebody for potential sponsorship, not sponsorship, but like product placement, and it was a heated shower. Other than that, everything else has come to me. I'm a believer that if you chase things, you're essentially limiting the opportunities by the capacity of your mind, you know, what you think is possible. Whereas actually, if you just align yourself to what you think you want, then it will come to you, and quite often something way better than you could even have imagined will turn up. So I just think if it's going to be meant to be, it will come my way. I'm not going to chase anything. I'm quite happy like plodding along. You know, I don't want to be rich. I absolutely do not want to be rich. I've had money in the past and it doesn't make you happy. I'd quite happily live in this. Oh, all right, Pods, what's the matter? Did you just wake up suddenly? Yeah, I'm not materialistic at all. I try and buy everything secondhand, reuse, recycle everything. I don't like waste. I don't litter. I just have a very simple life, and that's not because that's all I have the capacity to afford or to achieve or anything. It's because I know that's where the happiness is. Because life is going to be hard for everybody, you know, but I just think my hard, I have like not control, but my hard is quite predictable. It gives me the lifestyle that it gives me. My hard is not from some boss who I have zero respect. I actually respected most of my bosses, to be fair, but you know, there are bosses out there that are power hungry and dictatorial, and you know, imagine your hard being having to deal with somebody like that, or your hard being having to make ends meet to pay the bills, or you know, that to me is way worse than having to think, oh, am I gonna have a shower, or where am I going to park up, or you know, the other things that I have to deal with, which actually I like the difficulties that I come across. You know, people, why don't you do this, why don't you do that, it'd be so much easier. It's like, yeah, I could do all of those things, and I could go and live in a house with a hot shower, and I can, you know, I don't want that. That's why I chose this lifestyle, because I don't want those home comforts. I actually enjoy the challenges that this gives me. I don't know, maybe that makes me some kind of sadist, I don't know, but you know, look, this is what I get. This is what I get for suffering the hards that I have. This isn't necessarily a 12-month thing. It's already been over 12 months. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, let alone in a month, 12 months, who knows. I'll do it as long as I'm enjoying it, and then who knows after that. I literally don't ever think that far ahead. Well, if you watch my videos, you'll probably see that I work out regularly. I do cardio, and well, I do a lot of cardio, a lot of hiking, a little bit of running, and body weight, yoga, and when I can, lift weights. I have competed in bodybuilding or bikini competitions before, so I'm actually a fully qualified personal trainer as well. So yeah, I just build exercise in as part of my daily life. I don't treat it as a separate thing. It's not a chore. I actually really enjoy it. And I just eat decent food as much as I can. I don't eat as many, 80-20 rule. 80% of my food that I eat is really good, natural ingredients, which doesn't have an ingredients list on the side. And the other 20% is primarily chocolate. Chocolate or... yeah, chocolate. The first time I travelled alone was just before we went into lockdown. I decided I wanted to go to Thailand. I'd been there first when I was 21, I wanted to go back, so I decided that I was going to go back to Thailand on my own. I only went for 10 days. I wasn't sure if I was going to come home after that 10 days or stay a bit longer, but then the world went into lockdown. I had to come back, really, because no one knew what was going on. Yeah, and then since then, I've just loved solo travelling. Obviously, I'm not solo. I've got my sidekick. I don't have to answer to anyone. I can please myself. I never get lonely. I got pudding. But I meet people. I chat to people all the time if I want to. Other than that, I go and hide away in the wilderness somewhere, which is like my happy place. Yeah, I don't feel the need to be around people all the time. I love my own company. I don't watch TV or listen to music. I actually enjoy the silence. I like the thoughts that go around in my head. My head's a nice place to be. You know, I don't have loads of I have in the past. I've had a lot of therapy and I've been through a lot of shit and a lot of trauma, trust me. But having gone through that now, I've rationalised it and understand it as much as I can. So yeah, my head's a nice place to be. So, you know, but I think I'm in my head and I'm looking at this beautiful view. I don't need anything else. And if I want to chat to someone, I'll have a chat with Birds. She's always up for a little chat. I don't have a favourite place. I love Thailand. I've been there 3 times now, not in the van. I just love the food. I think Thai food and the culture and the people are just lovely. Other than that, anywhere it's not raining is my favourite place. I freaking hate the rain. I know we can't live without it, but it drives me up the bloody wall. I'm happy to go back doing the kind of role that I've done before, not in a corporate environment, no. If there was an organisation which was owned privately, ethical, understood how the world actually operated and didn't play the silly games that we're expected to play, then yes, I would consider working for them. I guess over time, my reasons for van life have evolved. In the first instance, I got the van to protect me from that vulnerability. After that, it became a fun thing to do. And then it became part of my journey, my fuck it before 50, which was basically a list of things that I wanted to achieve before I got to 50. There was various motivations behind that. I was inspired by my mate Will, who did his 30 before 30, but also a really good friend in my sister's year died a couple of days after her 50th birthday, and it made me realise how fragile we all are in this lifetime. And actually there was a few things that I wanted to get done, so I wrote down a list, started ticking those things off, and as I did them I felt more and more empowered to live a life that I wanted to live. And even though I was doing work that didn't feel like work and I was getting a relatively decent income because I had lodgers, I still felt really unfulfilled. I still felt like I was a slave to the system. I felt really claustrophobic living in a house. I mean, I've lived in about 40 odd addresses over my lifetime, so clearly I'm a nomad at heart, even if it was going from one box to another box. Just don't want to be part of this society. And when I say the society, I don't mean the people. I just don't want to play by the silly rules that have been laid out in front of us. That's not what we're here for. You know, I think it's absolutely ludicrous the way we have been indoctrinated and brainwashed to think that we need to go through those motions. I don't want to do the 9 to 5 until I have to retire and then I can have a few years of freedom. It's not about that. I refuse to be part of it. I did it for a long time. I was in the higher tax bracket for a long time. I worked my arse off, all because I was striving for material things that are actually irrelevant. And you just think, like, what's the fucking point? Like, who needs any of that stuff? Yeah, I get it, it's nice to have it, and don't get me wrong, I still have like a couple of really nice handbags and shoes that I like owning. I never wear them because you won't be getting in a van with a pair of Louboutins. But so I guess in one sense, yes, I'm probably very privileged because I have had that, but it's not worth it. I get asked this all the time. It probably is same answer to why I don't live in a house. It's like, yes, I could make my life so much easier with a bigger van, but that's not what I do. I'm not doing this for my life to be easy. I'm doing this for me to experience things and challenge myself. With a caddy, it basically is the price of a car. I don't have any issues with, I can park anywhere and people don't know it's a camper. I can be stealth, you know. So no, I don't want a bigger van. So I'm Exeter born and bred, but I lived in Wiltshire for 20 years. And that's where I had 2 husbands and 2 kids, a daughter from each husband. The oldest one is 23 and the youngest one is 14, and she lives with her dad. He doesn't have custody, but she is still based in Wiltshire because I moved back to Exeter to remove myself from the toxic relationship. And this is where the beginning of my faith in the system and society failed. Because it's not based on truth. Purds, mate. So I have a very good relationship with both of my kids. I speak to them daily. But, you know, they have their lives. They're at the age where they're doing their thing. They don't need me to be ever present. So I'm living my dreams, and I'm hoping that by doing what I'm doing, that I will be inspiring them. It's empty. I'll give you a very quick tour of the van. This is the bed that I built out of some old bunk beds that I got off Facebook Marketplace. They are fitted, but not really very much. You know what I mean? They're attached to the ply on the side. This is like a cantilever I can do cooking on, and this is part of the double bed. I showed that in the Venice video, so I'm not going to do that again. Storage under here, and my induction hob if I need it. In front of that is where I keep my 2 bags of clothes, and behind is where I keep my portable solar panels. And then where I keep all my crockery, which is empty at the moment because I've still got all my washing up to do. And that goes in under there. And fitted in the end is my diesel heater. It's here. And then next to it is my poof, which is additional storage and also forms part of the double bed and provides me with mobile seating if I want to sit outside. And here, just extra storage. And then the bits that make up the double bed, and my little desk, extra cooking platform. For my bed, I have a self-inflating mattress, which is annoyingly too long, so I tuck the head down there. And then on top of that, I have a number of blankets, which is so that I can store them there, but also provides extra comfort. And then I have this luxurious mattress topper, which I put inside a duvet cover and fold in half on the bed. It doesn't fit perfectly, but it's good enough, and it's very comfy. It's enough for me in bed. And actually, because it's a mattress topper, when I make the double bed up, I just open the mattress topper out, and then we have a double mattress. One of the other questions I get asked is how tall am I and how long is the bed? I'm 5'5", and when I bought the van, I lay down in it, and that was really my criteria for whether I was going to buy it, was whether I fitted in it lengthways, which I did. The bed isn't quite as long as me, but my mattress goes off the end slightly, and once the back door is closed, it sort of holds it all in place, and it's actually really comfy. And then on top of here, I put a double duvet folded in half, so I've got extra comfort on the bottom, and a blanket over the top. And then again, when it's a double bed, we can open it out, and you've got a double duvet. So when it's me on my own in here, it's pretty luxurious. I feel like Princess and the Pea. So for my energy, I have my portable leisure battery. I also have my solar panel on the roof with my leisure battery, which is all built in here. But I need to do a separate video on that because there's a lot of technical stuff. I have lots more storage up here. Obviously I hang a lot of stuff around the outside of my van, which is a bit clangy when I'm driving, but everything's to hand. And then in the front, this is where I keep all my food. This is my big gas cooker. I also have my little gas cooker. And here I have some extra water, as well as in the footwell. Loads more storage in there. I've got my wetsuit and extra kitchen towels. My window coverings, which also live down here. This here which was actually just a bit of ply that was left over after we took the seat out and put the platform in. And the reason why I leave it here is because, one, it gives me extra storage and I can still open the door, but also I just think it's like, if I'm cooking in here, which I quite often do, it's a bit of extra like protection, and I like it like this on the inside. That's it. Really basic, really quite boring and unexciting, but you know, there might be something there that inspires somebody. I don't know, if you like things a little bit all over the place like I do. Oh, nice and tidy and clean, really clean and organised. It will last at this for about an hour and then it'll be a mess again. Yeah, and the one thing everyone always asks me, this is my emergency pea pot. I get lots of questions about Puddin. She's, oh careful, she's 3/4 Jack Russell and 1/4 Chihuahua, and I've had her since my daughter and I bought her together. We got her when she was about 7 weeks old. It was through friends of a friend. Their dogs had puppies. Very impulsive. We loosely talked about it, but it was like, my friends had some puppies and I was just like, yes, get one. We both chose the same one from a picture, without discussing it with each other, and it obviously turned out to be Pudding. My daughter came up with the name, and I think it was possibly because we thought she was going to be really small, like a little pudding, but she kept growing. So yeah, we bought her when my daughter was living with me. She then subsequently decided to move back to Wiltshire. She's in her 20s, and she initially took Pudding with her, and I was obviously devastated, but you know, it is what it is. And anyway, that's when I moved into my van, and it was at that point we decided that, because my lifestyle warranted it a little bit easier, that Pudding would spend time with me when I was either in the UK or in my van. If I'm travelling overseas without the van, then she's with my daughter, which works out perfectly because it means she's got two mummies who both love her dearly. She's heaven. She's now, she's 1 year and 5 months now, and she's got the best temperament. I trust her completely around kids. She's just so much fun. I don't trust her around other dog owners sometimes because she's got that little bit of Chihuahua in her. When she plays, her gums come back and expose her teeth, and she makes a horrible noise, but she's just playing. But some dickheads misconstrue that as her being aggressive, and consequently tell me I'm a terrible dog owner and that she's a horrible dog. But that's more about them than my lovely puds.